You know, folks, I just had this crazy theory. This crazy theory. I don't know if any of you have had the same theory, but I have. Maybe you've had it in reverse, but I have it in a way that I guess would make sense. You see what's weird is, ever since Equestria Girls, Rainbow Rocks, Friendship Games, and Legend of Everfree, equestrian magic has been showing up in various forms in the human equestrian world. It's been showing up there, it's been causing trouble, causing mischief, and yet no one could figure out why. Even Sunset at the end of Legend of Everfree was wondering, where is this all coming from? And at first you would think, is she slowly forgetting that she is originally from Equestria and she should know this? Or is it boggling her mind too? That even though she's from Equestria, she has to wonder, where is this magic coming from? And yet she, again, should know, maybe, or perhaps have a clue as to where it's coming from, or at least maybe know what the source is. I mean, maybe Sunset does know it's from Equestria, but maybe she's just curious as to where it's coming from. How is it getting into the human world, into the human equestrian world? And that's a good question. That is a terrific question. And to me, there has to be a reason, right? Well, we have all these indications throughout both shows, since both shows are basically connected to each other in the same continuity and in a sense same timeline. Well, basically the same continuity. We have this connection somewhat between both shows. And what really gets me is how can the human versions of the main six, along with Sunset obviously, but how can the human versions of the main six be able to have the magical powers that they do? How are they able to become half pony, if you will? It doesn't make any sense, right? You might say, well, Brian, it's because of the magic, and basically they also carry similarities, if not identical similarities, to the main six. And I understand that. But really, it's like, to me, it's like, how is it possible still? I'm just saying. So I thought about this. So I'm thinking, how can this all be happening? Why are they able to access magic and use that mostly in a world where basically it's similar to ours, that they can use technology in? Science and stuff like that. And then, you know what? It dawns on me. Here's what I mean by it dawns on me. It sounds crazy, but this is a theory I have. It's a theory, hear me out. What if that human equestrian world is, and hear me out about this, is the same world that Equestria now resides in? Think about that. Think about that for a moment. Because here's the thing, Equestria is like a hybrid of both modern technology and ancient magical history. Basically a hybrid of technology, science, and magic. Basically it's a hybrid of modern times and medieval times. You kind of get what I'm saying, right? So, let me ask you this, okay? If Equestria in Friendship is Magic and somewhat in Equestria girls, when they go back to the Friendship is Magic world, let me ask you this. Why is a world that primarily relies on magic, okay, why is that world a hybrid of both modern technology, like you would find in the Equestria girls' human world, and sorcery, magic, stuff like that, like you would find in medieval times? I'm just saying, folks. Now I know you're thinking, well, all kinds of MLP generations were like that. In a sense, yes. Yes, they were. But not as prominent. Heck, Gen 2, which was My Little Pony Tales, didn't even do that. They were mostly all up to date. The point that I'm trying to make with this theory is, it just seems weird to me that the Friendship is Magic Equestria is a hybrid of science and technology and magic in somewhat medieval times, but yet the human one is more modern, more up to date, more like there's no such thing as really magic, except magic does exist in there because of the connection that was made to the Equestria world. You kind of get what I'm saying, right? I know it sounds confusing, but here's where I think my theory comes into play. And I know I'm about 6 minutes, 49 seconds in doing this, but here's where my theory comes into play. I believe, this is my theory, my opinion, I believe that human Equestria world, like I mentioned at the beginning, is actually the same Equestria that Friendship is Magic resides in. And I'm not saying that it's Friendship is Magic, and I'm not saying it's the same Equestria world, but in the future. No. I think, in my theory, it's a previous incarnation of Equestria, and in this previous incarnation, all the characters that we know in Friendship is Magic were actually human, and then some kind of big event occurred. We don't know if it was magical or something, and basically the world was reset. And by being reset, everything changed. Think about that. You could have the same historical facts of, let's say, the pillars, but those could have been done when they were humans. So what if a major magical, whatever kind of event occurs in continuity, and it basically changes not just the world, not just reboots the world, but reboots and retcons and changes history, in a sense, past events. In other words, those same historical events, like with the pillars, occur, but this time, instead of doing it as humans, they do it as ponies. Think about that. I know you're thinking, well, Brian, that sounds impossible. That's crazy. Is it? Think about this. Is it that crazy? Think about this. Is it as crazy as you think? Because let's say a major event occurs, and not only does it retcon and reboot the entire universe of MLP Generation 4, or mostly retcons and reboots the entire Equestria Girls universe into the Friendship is Magic universe, but also, think about this, wipes the memories of the previous human lives away. Now, I know that sounds dark and everything, but think about that. Maybe Twilight knew about her friends, and this is why it was easy for her to actually start to trust them and befriend them in the first episode of Friendship is Magic, because she had previously been friends with them when they were human in another lifetime. But that other lifetime was taken away when some kind of major magical event changed the world and basically rebooted and retconned it into what we know as friendship is magic. Which would explain why the friendship is magic Equestria world is a hybrid of both medieval and technology. Medieval and modern. Magic, science, technology, and sorcery. You kind of get my drift, right? It's basically a hybrid of both worlds, but in one. So think about that. Think about that for a moment. It makes you wonder, wow, could that be true? Could that be true? I mean, I'd be surprised if it was. Well, maybe wouldn't be too surprised, but I would be kind of surprised if there was some kind of indication of that. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, here's the thing. I've read comics, I've watched television, like a lot of you. I've looked at all kinds of media growing up. And the thing is, one of the things I've always noticed is whenever a big event like, let's say, a reboot or retcon occurs, the main characters and any characters associated with them have the memories wiped clean of the previous lifetime. They do. They do have their memories wiped clean. And act like, hey, this is the life they now live in, and the other life never existed. So what if that happens here? Think about that. Think about that for one moment. Because it kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense when you think about it. And I know some of you might say, well, just making a big deal out of nothing, Brian. True, maybe I am, but this is just something that just came to me. This is a theory that just came to me, and I'm realizing, wow, that does kind of make some sense. That does seem to be kind of relevant, if you will, in the grand scheme of things. It would make sense. It would make sense as to why the human main six are able to obtain magic, are able to use magic to get these transformations and go and become half pony and all that. It makes sense. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating. Maybe I'm speculating on a far-fetched theory and I could be wrong. But that's the one thing about a show in a franchise like Friendship is Magic and any of its spin-offs. That's the one thing that's fun about the community in general. You can speculate and wonder, what if? So, let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Let me know what you think of my theory, and I'll talk to y'all later.